Similar to education, fuel is one of the main topics that is being discussed right now. Trade unions claim that there is an impending fuel shortage in the near future. Now, what is the truth behind this? Primetime News has the details. Join me in the studios right now. A very good evening and welcome to News First Primetime News here on MTV Sports. I'm Ramesh Bandara.
And I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. First, a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
The Supreme Court approves a proposal to enroll 4,928 additional students to national universities. Consumers charge that cement prices have increased. Consumer Affairs Authority denies it. The government's takeover of a farm belonging to an elder's home in Panadura found to be in violation of the Agrarian Services Act.
And now for the stories in detail. The Supreme Court has ordered the University Grants Commission and the Commissioner General of Examinations to recalculate district and national rankings for the 2011 Advanced Level Examination by the 10th of September. Court ordered the relevant officials to calculate the new district and national rankings in line with the court order issued on the 25th of July.
The order was issued when 7 petitions filed by nearly 400 students who sat for the 2011 Advanced Level Examination were taken up for consideration by a Supreme Court bench comprising of Chief Justice Dr. Shirandi Bandaranaike and Justices K. Sri Pavan and Nimal Gamini Amaratunga. The UGC submitted a report today to court on admitting students to universities based on the 2011 Advanced Level Examination results. 4 different solutions have been proposed in this report. The first solution proposes the admission of 3,675 additional students to universities. Under the second solution, 3,048 additional students are to be admitted to universities, while 4,928 additional students are to be admitted under the third solution proposed by the UGC. Under the fourth solution, 4,457 additional students are to be admitted to universities. The Supreme Court, which considered all 4 solutions, stated that the third solution, proposing the admission of 4,928 additional students, was acceptable. Further hearings were postponed to the 12th of September. Meanwhile, the chairman of the UGC is due to appear before court on the same day to explain as to why he should not be held in contempt of court. President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that a bright future has been created for all children in the country, devoid of religious and ethnic divisions. He made this statement during an event held in the Kathankudi area today. A pedestrian tunnel built for the convenience of students at the Mira National Girls School in Kathankudi was declared open by the President today. We have provided drinking water and we will provide a sewage disposal system as well very soon. Trust us. You provided us with the most number of votes from this region. We have placed our faith in you. Join us in our journey to create a society where everyone can observe their religion in freedom, where everyone can go to school and travel on the roads without any fear. Meanwhile, a statue of the famous tusker Milangoda Raja was unveiled by the President today. The tusker, which was renowned as the Asian elephant with the longest tusk and for carrying the sacred tooth relic during the Dalda Perhera, passed away on the 3rd of August 2011.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced today that it will be unable to unload crude oil for a few days until a broken oil pipeline at the Colombo port is repaired. Meanwhile, the Sapugaskanda oil refinery had to cease operations today due to its crude oil tanks running dry.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation provides nearly 85% of the country's fuel needs. Various views are being expressed about the ability of the CPC to provide an uninterrupted fuel supply. Will the public have to face a fuel shortage in the future? News First takes a look.
According to the CPC, operations at the Sapugaskanda oil refinery have been seized until the pipeline which is used to unload crude oil at the Colombo port is repaired and crude oil is unloaded. Only 3 out of 4 tanks in Orugodavatta are being used at present. They are systematically attempting to make these tanks unusable as well. 3 out of 5 tanks at the oil refinery have been set aside for renovation work. The crude oil which has been ordered has not been supplied as yet. They have been unable to store sufficient crude oil for 2 days. Iranian light crude oil is usually used in this refinery. However, they are now using Arabian light crude oil. The output yield has dropped by 50% as a result of this. However, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation rejected the charges that the Sapugaskanda oil refinery had to be shut down due to the importation of Arabian crude oil, which yields a low output. The CPC points out that both Arabian as well as Iranian crude oil were imported earlier as well. Issuing a release, manager of the Sapugaskanda refinery, Neil Jayasekara, noted that although the yield of diesel had decreased due to the usage of Arabian crude oil, the decrease in the output of other products has been limited to around 10 to 15%. According to the release, Arabian crude oil is mixed with other types of crude oil in order to maximize the yield. Jayasekara pointed out that as sanctions had been imposed on Iran, Sri Lanka has had to limit its oil imports from the country and look to alternative sources that supply crude oil suitable for the Sapugaskanda refinery. He reiterated that the refinery was not shut down due to the usage of Arabian crude. According to Neil Jayasekara, the CPC would resume activities at the refinery as soon as repairs are made to the pipeline which unloads crude oil at the Colombo harbour. However, trade unions point out that the oil refinery takes a number of days to recommence operations once it is shut down. There is a crisis situation looming. It will depend on the number of days the refinery will be forced to remain shut. According to reports that we have received, it will have to remain shut for about 12 days. You can't stop a refinery in 1 or 2 days. Likewise, you cannot start it up again in 1 or 2 days either. If the basic requirements of the country are not met, we need to clearly state that the consumers as well as the storage facilities in the country will face a crisis. We have sufficient fuel reserves. There is no need to fear about a fuel shortage. I would like to note that we will continue to provide an uninterrupted fuel supply to the whole country without any delay. The CPC points out that a vessel carrying crude oil has already entered the Colombo harbour and the oil would be pumped to the refinery as soon as the pipeline at the harbour is repaired. News first towards several petrol sheds in and around Colombo today, and we were unable to witness any signs of a fuel shortage.
On to business news now. Traders and consumers charged that the price of a 50-kilogram bag of cement has been increased by 80 rupees. However, the Consumer Affairs Authority, which must approve any such price hike, has denied the claims.
In 2006, the government named cement as an essential commodity. Since then, the price of cement has been controlled by the Consumer Affairs Authority. According to the prices which were released by the authority on the 4th of May, a 50-kilogram sack of cement should be sold at 855 rupees. Cement was sold at the stipulated price even last Friday. However, the price of cement which entered the market from yesterday had been increased. The price of cement has been increased by 80 to 100 rupees. Earlier the price stood at 835 rupees, but the current price stated in the packaging is 935. We have no problem, we sell it according to the price mentioned on the packaging. The public has been severely inconvenienced by the unannounced price hike. We came to purchase cement. There is no longer any control price. The price of cement has been increased and we are unaware of it. We got to know of it only when we came here. The government has imposed price controls on it, but they have increased it arbitrarily. When we made inquiries on the matter from the Consumer Affairs Authority, its chairman, Rumi Marzouk, noted that approval has not been granted for a price hike. In such a backdrop, why isn't the Consumer Affairs Authority taking steps with regard to cement being sold at a price which is higher than the government-imposed price?
A fisherman has been reported missing after a ship collided with a fishing vessel in the seas of Usuatakeyawa, Wattala. The police said the collision occurred at around 3:30 this morning.
A group of fishermen who set out to sea from Handala had met with this accident. The fishermen said they had anchored their boat due to the heavy rains experienced at around 3 a.m. today. The fishermen said a ship had collided with their anchored boat. There had been 3 fishermen on board the vessel at the time of the accident. While 2 of them had managed to survive by climbing onto a nearby boat, the third, who has been identified as 40-year-old M.A.B. Neville, a father of 2, residing in the Avarakotoa area in Handala, was not so fortunate. My husband is missing. If there is any news on him from any area, please help him on our behalf. The fishermen suspect this to be the ship that collided with their fishing boat.
Up next is a look at Action TV.
A situation has been created whereby the Panadura Divisional Secretariat is being forced to reconsider his decision to take over a farmland in Kaludaiwala, Eluwila, Panadura, claiming it was an urgent public need under Clause 38A of the Land Reforms Act. This situation has arisen due to a letter from the Kalutara District Agrarian Services Development Commissioner on the 29th of August. This land, which also contains a paddy field, was bequeathed to the King George V Memorial Elders Home by a wealthy benefactor 52 years ago. It was taken over by the government following the Gazette notice issued on the 25th of May after the Panadura Divisional Secretary submitted an application to the subject minister stating that the land needs to be redistributed under a village extension program. On 4 occasions, including yesterday, Action TV pointed out that there are doubts with regard to the Divisional Secretary's claim that the land was taken over for a village extension program when considering the fact that several unsuccessful attempts were made prior to this to take over the land for a sports ground and the manner in which the Divisional Secretary took over the land on the 9th of August. The letter from the Kalutara District Assistant Commissioner of Agrarian Services Development dated the 29th of August was only received by the Divisional Secretary this morning. The factors mentioned by Action TV on 4 prior occasions coincide with the concerns raised by the District Assistant Commissioner of Agrarian Services Development in her letter. An important factor mentioned in this letter is the fact that the Panadura Magistrates Court had previously imposed a permanent injunction against the unapproved refilling of this farmland. I received a letter from the Deputy Public Services Commissioner. Therefore, I am bound to act according to the court decision, and in the future, I will work according to it. On the 9th of August, when the Divisional Secretary took over this land, he failed to consider the fact that the land was being farmed by a family who have had a peasant hold on it for the past 52 years.